linking kingdoms and dimensions, and a sweetheart to all who would see her. This is the legacy that was chosen by Queen Crystal, the Linker. Crystal Butterfly, the Linker, 6th Day Queen. Born Squatek 70, 265 AM. Died Thurk 72, 327 AM. Reigned 281 AM to 304 AM. Married to Willow Cross. Children Venus Butterfly. Crystal Hope Butterfly was born to Queen Galaxia the Clairvoyant and King Condor Redbird on Squatek 70, 265 AM, with teal hair from her father's family, brown eyes from her father, and teal clockwise swirls on her cheeks. Even at a very young age, Crystal was noted as very polite and happy, and always went out of her way to greet and uplift others, and was always trying to help her parents however she could. It was only 2 years later when the princess gained her younger sister, Megwanta Yisha Butterfly, on Quark 6, 267 AM. She had pink hair from her mother's family, the same brown eyes from Condor, and wore orange meteors on her cheeks. Even though an outsider could say that the queen was cold towards her daughters, she really did trust them both, and Crystal would always be thrilled when her mother could take time away from her spouse to play with her. A year later, Hydra Agnestar Butterfly was born on Samarana 28, 268 AM. He had black hair and orange eyes, both of which came from his mother, and wore dark green olive branches on his cheeks. The princess was thrilled with her younger siblings, and as soon as they could walk and talk, she'd play with them at every opportunity. The Queen Mother, Supina, was cured of her nubity state in this year, and Crystal finally got to meet her grandmother, who she would grow immeasurably close with over time. In the year 270 AM, Crystal fell ill with a severe infection, which the only way to prevent it from spreading was to cut out her infected vocal cords. Galaxia and Crystal accepted the challenge, and as such, the princess would live the rest of her life as a mute. Crystal, Galaxia, and Condor then devised a way of communication with her family by knocking in patterns on things and signing the packs. This would later become the basis for the new sign language. Crystal would then be whisked away from home with her father and siblings, while Galaxia attempted to mediate peace between the two kingdoms in case things went south. The family travelled to the Cloakwood Kingdom for safety. Crystal was amazed by the culture of the Spectres and joined in their tradition of wearing a hood wherever she went. The princess made friends with a young spectre called Annabeth, and the two of them would often journey around the town they lived in together. The first signs of Crystal's magical potential showed at this time when Annabeth and Crystal discovered some runes on a ruined building while on an outing with officials from the Cloakwood Kingdom and King Condor. Crystal looked at the runes while tracing over them and cast a spell that revealed their meaning to her, and she replied to it, saying, "I think I can help," in Hoodian. A force then perched the young princess on top of the wall, and she restored the ruins with the help of the force in one fell swoop. Annabeth stood with her mouth agape for hours after witnessing this, and Crystal burst into excitement after seeing this, and everyone was alerted by the princess's cries. One official explained that they'd been searching for someone with great magical power to reveal these ruins for years, and warned her to be careful with her gift, while King Condor reportedly stood in shock without moving for around 10 minutes. King Condor wrote about what Crystal had told him had happened to the Queen, and made an agreement with her daughter and her husband that Crystal was to begin to train to refine her magical powers upon return to the kingdom. Megwanta spent a lot of her life in awe of her older sister's ability, such as when Crystal would try to hone her magic by arranging books on the shelf with levitating spell. Crystal was marked as the first crown princess to be able to perform wondrous magic besides her grandmother Supina, and when the tensions that meant she had to leave the kingdom had been relieved, Crystal was rushed back home. It was notable that Crystal would stay in contact with Annabeth throughout her life, and she became a close ally of the Queen in her future reign. Crystal began training under me at age 10 due to her great magical power, and I can tell you that she was a greatly conflicted girl who wanted to train to harness her powers and perform great magical feats like her mother someday. The young princess greatly admired Etheria the Protector and her future career, and took the code of Etheria to heart from a young age, and proved adept at learning languages as well as talented in singing. Many people called her the Alkaline Princess, after a teal bird that appeared around the boundaries of Mewni at the time. Despite the fact that the princess was incapable of speech, when she wrote her thoughts down, she was always very elegant and poised. She kept many journals throughout her life, the most important of which are kept on display in the Royal Butterfly Museum, and the rest of which can be found in the special section of the Royal Archives. Crystal then started to experience a strange phenomenon, as whenever she closed her eyes, she'd hear the voice of a woman calling her, and whenever she fell asleep, she'd awaken in many places that weren't her bed. The most prominent of these instances is when she woke up in Royal Mewni, and having never visited this part of Mewni before, the princess shivered in the cold, as she'd woken up still in her nightgown with dirt on her, and an odd glow in her hair, as she tried to find a village nearby. Crystal eventually saw light in the southern village, and ran to the source of it into the centre of the village. The villager alerted the visiting noble of the princess's presence, and Crystal ran into the arms of a young woman whom she recognised. This woman turned out to be Lady Starling Redbird, wife of Lord Kestrel Redbird. Starling questioned how the princess had ended up here in such a state, and the princess recanted following the corner of the road. Starling comforted the princess and brought her to the second watchtower, where she spent the night with her, before delivering her back to the castle the next day, to greet the night of the royal family. Crystal was sat down by her mother, where she wrote her a full explanation of what she could recount and the repeated instances of the calling. Queen Galaxia thought about how to solve this for a while, and then planned with Crystal to follow her to the source of the calling. That night, Crystal was told to sleep well under the watch of her mother and me. It was true that when she fell asleep, she appeared to be talking to someone, and she eventually rose from her bed, moving as if she were dancing, and Galaxia, using Queen Estelari's spell, Feathered Flight, tracked her daughter's movements. We eventually ended up at the Magic Sanctuary, and though Galaxia's trauma meant that she had a level of aversion to this place, she still followed her daughter into the realm to fly. Crystal suddenly awoke among the banks of the river of clocks, and ran to her mother, asking what this place was. Galaxia explained that it was the realms of time, but she had no idea what her daughter had been summoned. Crystal was able to follow the calling now while awake, and followed it to a mountain where she met with her parents, or at least their spirits. Ragawat and Chrysalida appeared before her, and Crystal appeared to dance in their last interaction, before breathlessly mumbling Chrysalida's name and then falling into a deep sleep. Crystal woke up in the middle of the day the following day, with her hair radiating an odd morphine glow. The princess comforted me upon waking, as she recognised that it was difficult for me to see my parents again after such a long time. Shortly after, Crystal gained a friend and assistant in Willow Cross, the youngest son of House Cross. He'd learned the princess's language and helped translate for her at official events, as he was now beginning to attend. King Condor would often be heard to say that they were friends from the first time their eyes met, and within a month they were closer than any other children in Mewni nobility. Crystal had also been learning more about foreign cultures in her tutoring, and became enamoured with the 100 Rainbow Islands and their rich artistry in this time. It was also noticed that she practiced calligraphy day after day, because making art with words was something that fascinated the young princess. As the two sisters grew older, the Granta would begin to turn to her older sister for advice in situations where she had no experience. The Granta respected her sister's hands to growth. At times, like when the Granta came to her for advice when it came to boys, she preferred her sister Queen Galaxia instead, as she lacked knowledge on those matters. Princess Crystal soon gained the wand, which transformed into a butterfly-like shape, the one made of starstone and the other of moonstone. A crescent moon-shaped crystal was on the top half of the butterfly's body, and a charger on the wand was shaped like a pyramid. The combinations of these sacred symbols in her wand, complete with the previous 2 years spent, meant that everyone knew that Crystal was surely destined to be as great of a source of power as her namesake. About the Queen Mother, Sabina, Crystal grew close with her grandmother through her training, and could always rely on her when it came to magic. She would often visit Quest clinics alongside her grandmother, and had her naturally helpful nature enhanced by Sabina. Notably, the following year was when Crystal's Lonely Star Ball was held, a year earlier than the standard. She decorated the Selenium with an ocean theme beside Willow, and it was the first event in which Willow would interpret a speech for the princess. The royal siblings each danced with a noble at the ball, the Granta dancing with her then boyfriend and later husband, Prince Wovain Spiderbite, Hydra dancing with his cousin, Antonia Chime, and Crystal dancing with Honey Cross, as she didn't want people to get the wrong idea about her and Willow. After the event, Honey began to talk to the princess about marriage, and Crystal gave her very progressive view of being allowed to marry whoever she wishes, and not wanting to decide her future at this age. Honey insisted that she should be married to an eldest noble son, and Crystal felt quite uncomfortable about this proposal, as she was not one for romance at this time. Willow supported the princess's views, and they eventually became confrontational, not looking at Crystal's desperate attempts to defuse them. This eventually ended in her seeking her mother's views on these things, and Galaxia supported her daughter, resulting in a disgruntled Honey storming off. Crystal comforted Willow after the argument and thanked him for standing up for her. Willow blushed and bowed to her, saying it was nothing for her Royal Highness. I knew then that Galaxia's insight was correct, and they were indeed destined to be lovers. Tragedy struck in 281 AM, when Galaxia passed by the events of her final vision on the early hours of Hawk 11. She had told Crystal of a bright light in the future, bringing about an age of ruin lasting for hundreds of years. Crystal would live her days with this pursuing light, desperately doing all she could to try and change the future. After the royal mourning, Crystal was crowned queen, only a month after her 16th birthday. Crystal remained resolute through all this, helping take care of her two younger siblings and helping her father back onto his feet after Galaxia's death. To help stave off the future her mother had told her of, Crystal set about strengthening alliances with important kingdoms with the help of Willow as her royal interpreter. One of the ministers went to say how the two were virtually inseparable, and some reckoned that Willow was going to become King Willow not too far in the future. Crystal's amazing speeches were also noted among kingdoms, all of which Crystal wrote herself before giving to Willow to rehearse. It was around this time that Crystal had begun to develop feelings for Willow, and they entered into a relationship during this year. Even the common folk commented on how sweet and charitable Queen Crystal was, and she was soon adored by all. Crystal championed many conflicts that had been neglected due to the tensions in her mother's reign. Her and the King Dowager were known for fighting for the people and doing charity work in their spare time. Crystal soon announced her engagement with Willow, to the great delight and minimal surprise of Mewni nobility. Before their wedding, however, a group of errant monsters decided to attack a village along with the Queen and Willow. Crystal seemed to know that it was the right time to use her power, and she used the spell known only as Chrysalis Dance, obliterating Master Rose and knocking her into a 3-day-long coma as a result. When Crystal came to in her room, Willow hugged her tearfully, and the family all expressed wonder at what they'd heard. Her grandson then gasped, pointed to her hair, and Crystal looked into a mirror to notice that it was sparkling. She then took the wand to light with it, and it transformed into the form seen in her tapestry, a teal flower with hypnotic spiral crystal. She was the first ever queen to have the wand take a second form in her possession. News of the Queen's amazing feat soon spread far and wide, culminating in her being worshipped as a deity of protection and magic, and her birthday becoming known as St. Crystal's Day. The Queen soon married Willow after this in a small ceremony, but soon became exasperated, as she knew she was have to produce a heir, but neither the King nor Queen were interested in such matters. The conception of the heir was bittersweet, as Crystal and Willow were both visibly ratted for days after that, then reportedly crying for some time after the act of marriage. Nevertheless, Princess Venus Spectra Butterfly was born to the couple on the evening of Ragnarok 51 to 186 AM. Queen Crystal was notably young when her daughter was born, but due to her having been queen at 16, nobody took issue with it. When Princess Venus was born, nobody could agree on her hair and eye colour. Crystal saw the colours of Willow, brown eyes, pink hair. Condor saw the colours of Galaxia, white hair and red eyes. Willow saw the colours of Crystal, sparkling teal hair, brown eyes, and a nurse saw purple eyes and light brown hair. By shedding the light of the wand on Venus, Crystal found that she was taking a their ideal in hair and eye colours, so everyone would see her differently. Venus was also born with teal feminine symbols on her cheeks. Venus was a very sociable child and was favoured a lot by her grandfather and great-grandmother, who wished to be with her at every opportunity. Crystal used to joke that she was lucky to hold her own child during her infancy. Venus grew up to be somewhat rebellious, but sharply intelligent as a child, and used to have long conversations with her mother about her family and the future. Crystal was often having nobles and royals into Paris for negotiations and trade deals, but soon became irate as nobles began to visit Paris only for their sons to be defected by Venus and pull her away from her son. This eventually culminated in Venus's quarters becoming off-limits to any visitors, apart from her close friends Eric Flowers, Kingfisher Redbird, and Lily Flowers, and being locked when she would be tutored during times no one was visiting. Subpoena passed from natural causes on Fact 75 to 191 AM. She wrote to her family that she had lived a long life and died without regret. Crystal and Venus struggled after her death, as both were close to her, and she was the second queen to have an extended royal mourning after her death. Venus soon began to be able to control her hair colours, aside from when she felt strong emotion, and would often imitate her father's eyes and her mother's hair while around them, which Crystal felt very endeared by. Crystal's alliances eventually spread to other dimensions, making friendships in dimensions far from our own, whilst her daughter was raised by Condor when they were on political trips. A notable event happened when the royal family went to a Lover's Day carnival in 299 AM. Venus was crowned the carnival queen, despite her opposition, and gave a kiss to a young knight in training who was crowned king. Crystal thought this was adorable, and decided that the inclusion of young Queen Venus and young King Thaleo would be a staple in Lover's Day carnivals from now on. Crystal and Willow also kissed on stage after being asked to preside over celebrations, with a magical power surrounding them, creating a display of fireworks. Venus inherited the wand in the following year, and was delighted upon it transforming into a mirror. She would often use it to style her hair or apply makeup, a habit which her parents described as typical Venus in a loving tone. Unfortunately, the year 300 AM is when the King Dowager Condor Butterfly passed from a heart attack on Port 15. Crystal was very mournful at the loss of her dear father, but not as much as Hydra, who fell apart for a time after his death. Queen Crystal and Queen Legranta spent most of the year gently supporting her, while relying on each other to express their grief. Despite Crystal's usually calm nature, she could be stern when needed, and when she discovered Venus breaking the nightfall of Aquaria with Prince Reno Silverstein during a royal visit to that show. Servants noted that Crystal did not need words to express her anger while she scolded the duo, along with Queen Lynette Silverstein. Venus apologised sincerely, but she was still grounded for a month alongside Prince Mino when his family returned home, and they had their rooms locked at night for the duration of the visit. Venus's lonely star ball was very nearly a disaster, but was saved by Prince Hydra and Crystal. The dress were made coloured with a theme of love, but the outfit she wanted to wear was obviously meant to inspire other things. Venus was convinced to change by her uncle and mother, and the ball went swimmingly as she danced with Fort Redbird all night. It was later that night that Crystal discovered Venus and Kingfisher's relationship, as she followed Venus when she caught her sneaking away, and the two girls kissed and danced together under the lonely star. Crystal was accepting of her daughter's love for another woman, but resolved to keep it secret from the Redbirds, as she felt they may not be as accepting. Venus soon inherited the crown, and her parents gave it over willingly, unaware of what was to come. Crystal spent most of her days with Hydra and her husband at home on the palace. The trio were also surprised at the dedication Venus had to her nation. Unfortunately, Venus' cursed night happened soon after. She was stolen away by a villainous noble. Venus soon found that she was pregnant with this man's child, and became distraught, as it was highly forbidden to have a child out of wedlock in this time. Crystal still supported her daughter, alongside her husband, even when the hateful nobles turned on their daughter and would only listen to her. The young prince, Dylan Virgo Butterfly, was born on Provence 18, 308 AM, with yellow hair and yellow eyes with almost semi-waves on his cheeks. Crystal and Willow, along with his mother, were among the few who would show love to the young prince during his infancy, though he found a father in King Eric when he married his mother. Crystal also bore witness to the birth of Princess Lilian Elizabeth Butterfly on Dartic 23, 212 AM. She had pale blonde hair and light yellow eyes, and had light yellow 8-pointed stars on her cheeks. Crystal became somewhat nervous around Helia, believing her to be the bright light that her mother mentioned in her writings, and so tried to instill rightness and humility in the girl, despite the events unfolding around her. When the figure of Queen Moth fully shaped, Crystal cried at the foot of her mother's statue for quite some time, asking her desperately for guidance before shedding tears for her own daughter. Crystal would pass away on Flight 72, 327 AM, a year after her husband from natural causes. The Queen changed many things in Eteria, but not even the strongest of spellcasters can change fate.